Did you go to the library?
Of course. Can I see?
You won't believe it. It's a book about an eel.
Oh.
Do you have homework? I can hold it up for you.
Yeah, hold it up. Point out 2 points, right down to the border, 2, up and around to 10, straight up.
E.
Lead.
Well done.
The state government threw everything they possibly could at us to shut this protest down.
It becomes illegal to swim in our very own waters.
I'm an authorised officer under the Marine Safety Act New South Wales. I am directing you to not proceed past the navigation buoys.
I wish this fight wasn't necessary, but when governments fail, the people rise, and we are the rising tide.
This is for my kids. This is for their future. I am so desperate to be a part of trying to make things better. I actually spent the first maybe like 35 years of my life hiding, avoiding talking to people as much as possible. Anytime I tried, I would also be overtaken by this radioactive blush. So as far back as I can remember, I was afraid. I found school a difficult place to be. I felt uncomfortable, out of place, and extremely stressed constantly. And so I would just sort of try and hide as much as I could. Do you want to paint a rising tide sign, or do you want to paint your own? Do you want to do one with animals for forest? Yeah. In my late 20s, the panic attacks started. Worries about losing people that I loved was the biggest trigger. Then when I had my kids, fear of what would happen to them, and just straight out panic about what's happening to our world as well. I'd be walking around with my kids and I'd feel like I couldn't breathe. My psychologist sees a lot of people who have the same issue. What can help is to be part of the solution. I had to figure out how I could start to get involved. I would go to the school strike for climate and just hover on the edges, and I was really, really wanting more meaningful sort of contribution. Heidi! What I didn't realise, because I've always been quite shy and scared, is that I was looking for community.
I'd like to show you a picture of my cattle dog cross. You like?
Gus loves cuddle dogs. It's his favourite kind of dog.
Do you? Here you go, this one, doggy.
I was just so desperate to be a part of trying to make things better. Hey Finn,
Yeah?
you know how I've got to go on the radio?
Yeah.
Can you help me practice by you pretend to be the interviewer? I've written up all my notes, so I'm going to practice tonight. So I am still quite nervous, but there's still time.
Thanks for coming on my radio show. Can you tell me about Rising Tide?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to try not to look at my notes. Rising Tide is a community of people. We've come together to try and build power to take on the coal and gas corporations that are causing climate breakdown. Are you laughing at me?
Yeah, I can't do it.
Oh, because of my microphone. This one might be dry.
They can take away our waters and our lands. But look at us. We're in numbers. Energy is created in numbers. And what's created through that energy is power.
Day one, they started setting up the huge marquees, the welcome tent, the loos, to figure out how the welcome tent and the toilets and the kitchens are going to function well. That's big event planning sort of stuff.
We're the oldies rising. Older, bolder and stopping coal.
All the way from Queensland, not far Queensland.
For their mother, mate. Look after our mother. We look after us.
Like we're a cult or anything.
No.
All from Adelaide.
Oh, yeah, no.
So many of us get pessimistic with the state of the world and climate change. We can actually achieve something when we're together.
That's it.
You've done this before, haven't you?
All of the organising that the hubs had been doing, trying to recruit participants for the blockade, ended on that day. Everyone was just getting their own stuff together to take up. I was getting ready, sourcing a sleeping bag, tea and coffee for the community care tent. This is me setting up in the car. I was feeling very excited and anticipatory, pretty giddy. That's a sign I made. This is one of the reasons that I was drawn to Rising Tide, is that they were pro-worker. You've got to acknowledge the people in the industries that we're advocating to be shut down, and that's such a huge part of the hunter's identity.
Industrial City. Newcastle is one of the major industrial centres of Australia. 100 miles north of Sydney at the mouth of the Hunter River, it's one of the busiest ports in the country.
Newcastle's home to the world's largest coal port. The coal that gets exported through this port, when burnt, is responsible for almost 1% of global emissions. It's Australia's single biggest contribution to the climate crisis. As someone who's grown up in Newcastle, you know, we go to the beach and just lining up on all of the horizon is just all of these coal ships. It's just something that I've been used to. More so in the last few years, I've really realised that this is such a significant location, not just in Australia, but in the world. This is the channel, the port, where the coal ships come in and out. You can see massive coal piles, and you know, this is right just in the suburbs of Newcastle. If we can have people in kayaks in the channel, in the harbour, it makes it really hard for them to bring coal ships in and out.
At the end of 2025, we'll be halfway through the critical decade. All scientists have said we need to cut fossil fuel emissions by 2030 if we're going to have a shot at a safe planet. The government is failing us. The government in this country has not taken on the fossil fuel industry. Never to any extent that prioritises the interests of everyday people above the interests of private profit.
This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It's coal.
Greens are asking you to commit to no new coal and gas.
That's not in our policy, and we won't be implementing that policy.
The government's not going to be on our side unless we have more power than the corporations that they are so afraid of.
From that very first meeting, when there was just a handful of us sitting in that room, we had big plans to grow very quickly. We needed 10,000 people in Newcastle prepared to take civil resistance against the world's largest coal port. And then it was just down to work.
We're saying that we want to take on possibly the largest single political power in the country, the coal and gas corporations. They're not going down without a fight.
Are you about to climb that chair?
Oh, if you want to do it, that would be nice.
I was really inspired by the first blockade. I just kept showing up to the meetings. I would sort of say more and more in the meetings, and it was just such a welcoming environment. And I started to really get to know people and really feel like I was really part of the community.
So I'd like to go to hear some personal stories. So, Emily?
I am quite an anxious person, and it may not come across that way now because I've changed a lot. Over the last year that I've been involved, I feel like I've just gone from strength to strength. It's been the best, absolute best for me to meet these people who understand, who recognise the work needs to be done, and how can I help? Like, it's that kind of attitude, like what can I do? It's been the best thing for my mental health. It's a relief, it's a huge relief.
Our demands we have cancel all new fossil fuel projects. And the second one is, I've got the wrong percentage, I picked it to 78%. And the third one is ending all coal exports from Newcastle by 2030.
After we wrap, if anyone wants to come and chat to us.
On the second day, people were arriving and we were still figuring out the kinks.
If like 10 strong people want to come back here at 2 p.m. to learn how to inflate those.
I arrived and immediately headed to the community care tent. We were a bunch of volunteers coming in from all over the country. A lot of our scenario planning and briefing was about potentially de-escalating on the beach, like people of colour or queer community who traditionally are more likely to face violence with the police. We considered it our collective obligation to keep things non-violent. There were tents on the edges of the park and there was still heaps of green space at that point because it wasn't yet Tent City. It was a beautiful sunny day. There was an amazing program, musical acts, regular non-violent direct action trainings, then 3 meals a day provided to us, twice daily spokes councils, different talks.
If we can fight for country and yous are there in solidarity and unity with us, we can change. We can change this country.
I think there was a sense of things coming together.
We are co-creating this together, folks. This is what we make it. I think we have all of the potential to create something truly historic and amazing.
It's Emily. In the first night we arrived, it felt much more low-key and we could just kind of chat with each other. At that stage, she was still resolved to not get arrested.
So here we have our wall of newspaper clippings and stories of the blockade. And this one up here is actually from 2016 before the new iteration of Rising Tide existed. November 2022, we kind of started working towards our very first action.
5 teenagers have been arrested after a protest at the Newcastle office of Whitehaven Coal.
I'd never gotten arrested before, but I knew that so much of what I take for granted today, it's been hard won by protest movements, by mass movements, by civil disobedience and by people power.
People care deeply. They just wish they could do something. You need to give a spark and say, have you thought of this? We reckon it might work.
In April of 2023, there were 50 people who stopped a coal train in Newcastle. We were like, go home, spread the word, and then come back in Newcastle with hundreds of people in November.
In April, we had over 300 people on site. In November, we had 3,000.
The poster just was so inviting. It was sort of like, this is the kind of people's movement that I can join, that's for everyone. We finally got there, we walked out on the beach and meeting Nana. She was sort of narrating kind of what was going on, that this was the moment where the blockade was supposed to end and they were staying out on the water. So there was this huge countdown and a cheer. I called out heroes and Finn was a bit embarrassed of me. I wanted to be like them. Like, I was so proud of them and how brave they were and what they were willing to do to fight for what was right.
An estimated 500,000 tonnes of coal that would be prevented from leaving this coal port this weekend. 109 people were arrested, and one of those people was my grandfather, who was 97 at the time. We were like, come back again next November. It's going to be 10 days, 10,000 people. At that point, we had no idea if we could get 10,000 people. Step 1 is to sell people on the vision, and step 2 is to figure out how the hell we're going to pull it off. The beginning part of 2024 looked like a lot of community organising. Local movie screenings, stalls at market.
Day after day, week after week, manning stalls at booths or handing out leaflets at markets.
30 people ended up jumping on a bus that was travelling all around the country.
The closer and closer we got to the blockade, our registration numbers were just going up. There was more and more people who was like, I want to help, what can I do? We were also starting to plan the second part of our event, the Canberra Wave, where we were going to be heading down to Canberra and for the last few sitting days in Parliament, trying to send our message directly to the politicians. It was a very chaotic last few weeks. And then the day was finally here. People were trickling in by the hundreds every day, and the weather was beautiful, the sun was shining, and people were just feeling stoked that we made it. And then all hell broke loose.
About 7:20 p.m. last night, we received a notice from Transport for New South Wales that they actually intend to declare the whole Port of Newcastle an exclusion zone.
For your safety, you must comply with this direction. Failure to comply with this direction may be an offence.
We'll be considering our next move really carefully, but I think anyone with half a brain can see that this is a complete overreach.
At 5 p.m. on Thursday, this exclusion zone kicks in. If we can't overturn it by then,
it becomes illegal to swim in our very own waters.
The letter basically said we are now implementing an exclusion zone between 5 p.m. on the Thursday till 10 a.m. on the Monday, where people are not allowed to enter at all any of the water. Everyday public would technically be breaking the law just by swimming. We filed a challenge in the Supreme Court against this exclusion zone. The day was finally here. People were on their way, and we felt like it was so close to this event falling apart.
We had plans to get into the water on Thursday evening. And on Thursday morning, that exclusion zone was still in place.
If you have a boat, can you please either stand or sit in your boat so we know which ones are taken?
It was about 4 p.m. on the Thursday. I was in Sydney in the Supreme Court on the witness box. The other lawyer said, do you think that there's a chance that civil disobedience will occur? I said, yes, I do think that's a possibility. Do you think it's likely? And I said, yes, I do. And at that point, my heart just sunk because I felt so sure that we'd lost this case. They were using a law meant to protect a special event taking place, to prevent the special event from happening. And our legal team argued that they just can't do that. And in the Supreme Court, the judge ruled in our favour. We won, and it was a massive moment. I sneakily texted people back in Newcastle just saying we won. The cheers went on for like many minutes.
The state government threw everything they possibly could at us to shut this protest down, and they have failed. We've just overturned their ruling.
And when I got back to camp, it was just so clear that morale had totally shifted. Everyone was happy and excited, having a great time. We'd just been so up against it that they were just throwing everything that they could. And then it felt like after all of that, we've come out on top, and you can't shut us down because ultimately people power is going to win.
From 5 p.m. on Thursday, we were in the water. And we had a really wonderful weekend. Thousands of people coming just for the celebration of community.
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
I'm here today to ask the people in Parliament, please do your job.
The difference between doing nothing and doing something is everything, and that's why you're here.
No war! This is what we're fighting for!
My closest friends had come down. It was just fun, kayaking out there, being on the water, chanting away.
People flooded in for the weekend, And once the big stage was set up and the bigger acts started playing, it was a vibe.
Our flotillas were amazing and fun and a powerful protest. We had all of our kayaks kind of around here. So basically we were told that we weren't allowed to enter the shipping channel, and that's marked by buoys in the water. And then police also put this dotted line of yellow buoys really just crowding us near this beach there.
We were much more actively policed than we'd ever been before. I remember being on the water while one of these bulk carriers went past. People in kayaks and in yachinis are being sloshed around the harbour as these mammoth coal ships just go back and forth.
Seeing those huge coal ships that just dwarfed all of us on our kayak, I think it really hit home this massive multi-billion-dollar industry that we're up against.
I felt the energy of people coming off the water and wanting to do something more. Sure, they were there, but where's the protest? When are we going to push? People had come to cause a disruption because that's what protest is. If you really believe in something, you put yourself between the problem and the hard place.
People were fed up with these coal ships going through it. They were going to enter the shipping channel and wanted to stop a coal ship.
It was the night before where I realised I obviously don't want to, but I would go to jail for this. This feeling just got stronger and stronger in me that I really wanted to be one of those people out there. I'd previously thought, I can't get arrested, I have kids. And then I ended up thinking, I have to get arrested, I have kids. This is for them, this is for their future. I felt very, very nervous, but I felt certain.
We're on the front of action. We're about to go out on the water and we're about to fight this fight.
We're going to walk as a procession to Parliament Lawn. We are bringing our message, and our rising tide message, to Parliament as well.
I'm Neve. I'm a 16-year-old Newcastle local, and I have a message for all those in power who swore to protect my generation. How do you justify prioritising the greed of a small number of coal and gas billionaires when we are on the brink of irreversible climate breakdown? When tens of thousands of people around the world have died from floods, hurricanes and extreme heat driven by climate change? How can you live knowing that the suffering that we are seeing now in your lifetime will be nothing compared to the catastrophe scientifically predicted for mine? How can you justify claiming that you believe in reconciliation while you destroy sacred sites for profits, while you erase thousands of years of culture for your own greed? How can you justify stealing my hope of a future where it will ever be safe to bring children into this world? Because how can my generation promise our children a safe childhood when in ours people are drowning and they are burning? That is the cost of your inaction, and it is unforgivable. I wish this fight wasn't necessary, but when governments fail, the people rise, and we are the rising tide.
I'm an authorised officer under the Marine Safety Act New South Wales. I am directing you to not proceed past the navigation buoys.
Emily Mitchell joins us now. Tell me a little bit about Rising Tide.
We are trying to build our collective power to take on the coal and gas corporations that are causing climate breakdown. We can see that coal and gas corporations have undue influence on our political leaders. And we as the people need to withdraw our consent from those processes and say, actually no, we say no, we are disrupting these processes, we want a different way.
I was walking down the beach and everyone was out on their phones looking at the marine traffic website. All of a sudden someone says, we stopped a ship.
We saw this coal ship just do a big U-turn
have stopped the coal ship!
The Oriental Star was coming into the port to collect coal, done a U-turn, and all across the beach, all you could hear was cheering.
A dramatic escalation today of anti-coal protests.
The world's largest coal port brought to a standstill.
Australian police arrested climate change activists. The organisation says police made the arrests after the protesters paddled past police lines today.
The biggest act of civil disobedience in Australia's history.
Over 150 comrades have been arrested holding the channel. Efforts like this, the activism and the advocacy and the community like this will bring the industry down in a fair and just manner.
We turned around a coal ship that was inbound to Newcastle to get filled up. And it shows us what 170 people can do if they just decide to give it a go. On the Monday, I was on my way to the courthouse.
We're very pleased that Andy and Naomi have been released on bail. We think it's very appropriate considering the circumstances and the peaceful nature of their protest actions over the weekend.
I think this sets the right example for young people.
I think young people who take these measures are full of passion and agency for their future, and the policies of the government have only served to strip them of that sense of agency. They are claiming that back.
I took my laptop and I found a corner and logged on to talk to Laura Jays, Sky News presenter, about what we'd just done in the Port of Newcastle. I want to get a message across loud and clear. We are not trying to shut down the industry overnight. Yeah, we've demanded an end to new coal and gas expansions. Beyond that, I'm a Newcastle boy, right? You know, the Hunter region is a really important place in the New South Wales economy. It contributes a lot. The Port of Newcastle actually says that the coal export market could collapse within the next 10 years. So what do we tell Hunter workers? What do we tell people in Singleton and Muswellbrook when their own port says that the export industry will collapse in 10 years? Are we going to fund those communities to transition to alternate industries? I think we should. Do you?
They must be out the back. 2025 is really about us building our movement, but also more than that, the 2025 Blockade is going to be the beginning of when Rising Tide really ramps it up. We have to increase our pace, our level of disruption, our numbers and our power. The fossil fuel industry is a bloody tough opponent, and it's going to take thousands and thousands of highly organised people to bring them down.
Since November, I've been helping organise a debrief event for people who attended the blockade. And then this year in Sydney, we've really been focusing on how do we set up a structure that allows our movement to grow in Sydney and allows people a pathway in. On the street or on the bus, like I feel differently to before I joined Rising Tide. We're actually doing this whole thing together. This is the antidote to the apathy and disempowerment of like not just political life, but like of life. That's me and Emily leaving pit stop. Exhausted but happy.
I needed to then go home and recharge kind of thing. I was so far out of my comfort zone already, and then getting arrested was like even a step further. I wrote it all down just to get it sort of out of my system, and then I felt nothing but good about it. This is the way. Find your community and get active, be part of the difference, you know, making the difference.
One person, 2 people, 8 people can't change the world by themselves. They can change the world by building power and community of thousands. If we all come together, we can do big things. We can do big things, and the time is now.